sentences. After Ma left, over the next few weeks, Kia's oldest brother and two sisters drifted away too, as if by example. Two, they had endured Pa's red-faced rages, which started as shouts, then escalated into fist slugs or backhanded punches, until one by one they disappeared. Three, they were nearly grown anyway. Four, Kia couldn't remember their real names, only that they were called Missy, Murph, and Mandy. Five, on the morning when Jody was the only sibling left, Kaya awakened to the clatter-clank and hot grease of breakfast. 6, she dashed into the kitchen, thinking Ma was home frying corn fritters or hoe cakes. 7, but it was Jody, standing at the wood stove stirring grits. 8, if they didn't wake Pa, they could eat alone. 9, Jody didn't know how to make biscuits, and there wasn't any bacon, so he cooked grits and scrambled eggs in lard. 10, they washed their dishes fast, then ran out the door toward the marsh, he in the lead. Page 13. 1, impossibly lean. His frame seemed to flop about from poor gravity. 2, Kia looked up at Jody. 3, can run. Hide in the mossy place. 4, it's okay. It'll be okay. 5, later, near sunset, Jody found Kia on the beach staring at the sea. 6, he stepped up beside her. She didn't look at him but kept her eyes on the roiling waves. 7, I have to go, Kia. Can't live here no longer. 8, when you're old enough, you'll understand. 9, Kia, you be careful. Here, if anybody comes, don't go in the house. 10, just before he stepped into the trees, she finally turned and watched him walk away. Page 14. She sank onto his mattress, watching the last of that day slide down the wall. 2, a gnawing hunger, such a mundane thing, surprised her. 3, she walked to the kitchen and stood at the door. 4, all her life, the room had been warmed from baking bread, boiling butter beans, or bubbling fish stew. A 5. Now, it was stale, quiet, and dark. 6, she lit a candle and poked at hot ashes in the wood stove, added kindling. 7, getting out leftovers, she said, I'll tump the grits in lard, warm 'em up, which she did, and ate from the pot. 8, at first, every few minutes, she sat up and peered through the screen. 9, for a while she was so stiff she couldn't swallow, but on cue, the familiar songs of tree frogs and katydids filled the night. 10, the marsh snuggled in closer with a low fog and she slept. 1, for 3 days, Pa didn't come and Kaya boiled turnip greens from Ma's garden for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 2, chicken shits, you're just a bunch of chicken shits. 3, she'd walked out to the chicken coop for eggs but found it bare. 4, not a chicken or egg anywhere. 5, on the evening of the 4th day, Pa showed up with a bottle and sprawled across his bed. 6, walking into the kitchen the next morning, he hollered, where's everybody got to? 7, I don't know, she said, not looking at him. 8, Kia slipped quietly out the porch door, but walking along the beach searching for mussels, she smelled smoke and looked up to see a plume rising from the direction of the shack. 9, she rushed to the shack to block Pa's return for more, locking eyes with him. 10, Kia sank onto the bricken boards, watching Ma's watercolors of the marsh smolder into ash. Vocabulary and definitions, page 12. 1, endured, suffered patiently. 2, rages, violent, uncontrollable anger. 3, escalated, increased rapidly. 4, clatter clank, a loud, continuous rattling noise. 5, stirring, mixing or moving. 6, coarsely ground corn kernels boiled with water or milk. 7, awakened, roused from sleep. 8, hoe cakes, a type of cornbread. 9, bacon, cured meat from the back or sides of a pig. 10, disappeared, vanished or ceased to exist. Page 1, lean, lacking in fat, thin. 2, flop, to fall or move in a loose, ungainly way. 3, mossy, covered in or resembling moss. 4, roiling, moving in a turbulent or swirling manner. Understand, grasp the meaning, significance, or nature of something. 6, hide, to conceal oneself. 7, careful, cautious in one's actions. 8, turned, moved in a circular direction. 9, walk away, to leave a situation. 10, beside, next to or at the side of. Page 14. 1, gnawing, persistently worrying or distressing. 2, mundane, lacking excitement, ordinary. 3, stale, no longer fresh and pleasant to eat, hard, musty, or dry. Kindling, small sticks or twigs used for starting a fire. 5, leftovers, remaining uneaten food. 6, tump, to turn over or tip something over. 7, porch, a covered shelter projecting in front of the entrance of a building. 8. Swallow, to cause or allow something to pass down the throat. 9. Cue, a signal for action. 10. Snuggled, settled or moved into a warm, comfortable position. Page 15. 1. Turnip greens, the leafy green part of the turnip plant. 2. Chicken shits, a derogatory term implying cowardice. 3. Bare, empty or without contents. 4. Sprawled, to spread out in an ungainly or awkward manner. 5. Hollered, shouted or yelled loudly. 6. Mussels, a type of shellfish. 7. Plume, a long, soft feather or arrangement of feathers. 8. Shack, a small, crudely built house. 9. Locking eyes, making direct eye contact. 10. To burn slowly with smoke but no flame. Summary. This excerpt from Where the Crawdads Sing explores the lonely childhood of Kia after her family members, one by one, leave her behind. Her brother Jody is the last to go, leaving Kaya alone to fend for herself. The text captures Kaya's struggle to survive in a hostile environment with little to no support, detailing the physical and emotional challenges she faces. Jody's departure is particularly poignant as it marks the end of her connection to family, forcing Kaya into deeper isolation. 이 가재가 노래하는 곳에서의 발췌 부분은 가족 구성원들이 하나씩 떠난 후 홀로 남은 카야의 외로운 어린 시절을 탐구하고 있다. 그녀의 형제 조디는 마지막으로 떠나고 카야는 홀로 자신을 지키기 위해 고군분투한다. 이 텍스트는 거의 지원 없이 적대적인 환경에서 살아남기 위한 카야의 투쟁을 담아내고 있으며 그녀가 직면한 신체적, 감정적 도전을 상세히 설명하고 있다. 특히 조디의 떠남은 가족과의 연결이 끝났음을 의미하며 카야를 더 깊은 고립으로 몰아넣는 중요한 순간이다. Extracted sentences. 1. The Piggly Wiggly grocery at one end, the Western Auto at the other, the diner in the middle. 2. Next to the Piggly was the Doggone Beer Hall, which offered roasted hot dogs, red hot chili, and fried shrimp. 3. The other street, Broad, ran from the old highway straight toward the ocean and into Maine. 4. The stores and businesses weren't joined together as in most towns, but were separated by small, vacant lots brushed with sea oats and palmettos. 5. For more than 200 years, sharp, salty winds had weathered the cedar-shingled buildings to the color of rust. 6. Mostly, the village seemed tired of arguing with the elements and simply sagged. 7. The town wharf, draped in frayed ropes and old pelicans, jutted into the small bay. 8. Barefoot and dressed in too short bib overalls, Kia stood where the marsh track met the road. 9. Biting her lip, wanting to run home. 10. But hunger was a pushing thing, so she stepped onto Main and walked toward the Piggly Wiggly on a crumbling sidewalk. Page 18. 1. As she approached the Five and Dime, she heard a commotion behind her and jumped to the side just as 3 boys sped by on bikes. 2. The lead boy looked back at her, laughing at the near miss, and then almost collided with a woman stepping from the store. 3. Miss Pansy usually wore hats shaped like silk turbans. 4. And this morning her headwear was pink, setting off red lipstick and splotches of rouge. 5. He had the sleekest bike, red seat and chrome handlebars. 6. Never mind her. You can't go blaming your sins on somebody else, not even swamp trash. 7. Now you boys gotta do a good deed. Make up for this. 8. There goes Miss Ariel with her groceries. Go help carry 'em to her truck. 9. And put your shirt tails in. 10. Kia knew that the parents of the dark-haired boy owned the Western Auto Store, which was why he rode the snazziest bike. Page 19. 1. She waited a few minutes, then head low again, walked toward the grocery. 2. Inside the Piggly Wiggly, Kia studied the selection of grits. 3. Not knowing how to count the exact amount, she laid down the whole dollar. 4. Mrs. Singletary wondered if the child knew the difference in the coins, so as she placed the change into Kaya's open palm, she counted slowly. 5. Kaya dashed from the store and walked as fast as she could toward the marsh track. Plenty of times, Ma had told her, never run in town or people think you stole something. 7. But as soon as Kaya reached the sandy track, she ran a good half-mile. 8. Back home, thinking she knew how to fix grits, she threw them into boiling water like Ma had done, but they lumped up all together in one big ball. 9. So rubbery she could only eat a few bites. 10. So she searched the garden again and found a few more turnip greens between the goldenrod. Page 21. Decent for Ma's return. 6. Ma had always said the autumn moon showed up for Kaya's birthday. 7. So even though she couldn't remember the date of her birth, one evening when the moon rose swollen and golden from the lagoon, Kaya said to herself, I reckon I'm 7. 8. Pa never mentioned it. Certainly there was no cake. He didn't say anything about her going to school either. 10. Surely Ma would come back for her birthday, so the morning after the harvest moon, she put on the calico dress and stared down the lane. Vocabulary and definitions. Page 17. 1. Grocery, a store that sells food and other goods. 2. Diner, a small, informal restaurant. 3. Vacant, empty, not occupied. 4. Shingled, covered with shingles, a type of roofing material. 5. Weathered, worn by long exposure to the atmosphere. 6. Sag, drooped down or sank. 7. Wharf, a platform where ships are loaded and unloaded. 8. Frayed, worn out along the edges. 9. Pelicans, large water birds with long beaks. 10. Overalls, a type of protective clothing, usually worn over other clothing. Page 18. 1. Approached, came near or nearer to. 2. Commotion, a state of confused and noisy disturbance. 3. Collided, came into forceful contact with something. 4. Turbans, a type of headwear made of a long piece of cloth. 5. Sleekest, smooth and glossy, streamlined. 6. Blamin', slang, blaming. Sins, immoral acts considered to be a transgression against divine law. 8. Deed, an action that is performed intentionally or consciously. 9. Snazziest, informal, stylish and attractive. 10. Shrub, a small to medium-sized woody plant. Page 19. 1. Studied, looked at closely in order to observe or read. 2. Grits, coarsely ground corn kernels boiled with water or milk. 3. Count, to determine the total number of items. 4. Exact, precise, accurate. 5. Change, money given back when a payment is more than the amount owed. 6. Dashed, ran quickly and suddenly. 7. Lumped, formed into a mass or lump. 8. Rubbery, resembling rubber in texture, tough. 9. Searched, looked carefully in order to find something. 10. Goldenrod, a plant with bright yellow flowers. Page 20. Hang, the ability to understand or use something correctly. 2. Backbones, the bones in the back or spine of an animal, often used in cooking. 3. Scrub, to clean something by rubbing it hard. 4. Spigot, a faucet for drawing water from a pipe or cask. 5. Lye soap, a strong, harsh soap made with lye, used for cleaning. 6. Decent, conforming to standards of good taste or propriety, suitable. 7. Reckon, informal, to consider or think. 8. Swollen, expanded or increased in size. 9. Lagoon, a shallow body of water separated from a larger sea by sandbars, coral reefs, or other natural barriers. 10. Calico, a type of cotton fabric with a printed pattern. Summary. Page 17 English. Kia ventures into town to the Piggly Wiggly grocery store, passing through a small, worn-down village with old buildings weathered by time and nature. The village appears tired, with sagging structures and a sense of abandonment. Kia, dressed in her 2 small overalls, is driven by hunger to step onto Main Street and head toward the store. 키아는 피글리 위글리 식료품점으로 가기 위해 마을로 들어서면서 시간과 자연에 의해 낡고 퇴락한 작은 마을을 지나간다. 이 마을은 지쳐 보이며 건물들은 축 늘어져 있고 버려진 느낌이 든다. 너무 작은 작업복을 입은 키아는 배고픔에 이끌려 메인 스트리트로 발을 내딛고 가게로 향한다. Page 28. English. As Kia approaches the Five and Dime store, she encounters a group of boys who almost collide with a woman as they speed by on their bikes. Miss Pansy, a woman known for her stylish hats, scolds the boys and instructs them to help another woman with her groceries. Kia notices the background of the boy with the sleekest bike, understanding that he comes from a more privileged family. 키아가 Five and Dime 상점에 접근할 때 자전거를 타고 빠르게 지나가던 소년들이 한 여성과 거의 충돌할 뻔한 상황을 목격한다. 스타일리시한 모자로 유명한 미스 P. Extracted sentences. Page 21. When no one came, she got the pot of grits and walked through the woods to the seashore. 2. Hands to her mouth, she held her head back and called, "Kiao, kiao, kiao." 3. Specks of silver appeared in the sky from up and down the beach from over the surf. 4. Here they come. "I can't count as high as that many gulls are," she said. Crying and screeching, the birds swirled and dived, hovered near her face, and landed as she tossed grits to them. 6. Finally, they quieted and stood about preening, and she sat on the sand, her legs folded to the side. 7. One large gull settled onto the sand near Kia. "It's my birthday," she told the bird. 1. After Ma left, over the next few weeks, Kaya's oldest brother and 2 sisters drifted away too, as if by example. 2. They had endured Pa's red-faced rages, which started as shouts, then escalated into fist slugs or backhanded punches, until one by one they disappeared. 3. And later, just as she forgot their ages, she couldn't remember their real names. 4. On her porch mattress, Kaya found a small pile of socks left by her sisters. 5. On the morning when Jody was the only sibling left, Kaya awakened to the clatter, clank, and hot grease of breakfast. 6. She dashed into the kitchen, thinking Ma was home frying corn fritters or hoe cakes. 7. But it was Jody standing at the wood stove stirring grits. 8. Jody didn't know how to make biscuits, and there wasn't any bacon, so he cooked grits and scrambled eggs in lard. 9. They washed their dishes fast, then ran out the door toward the marsh, he in the lead. 10. Impossibly lean, his frame seemed to flop about from poor gravity. Page 13. 1. Later, near sunset, Jody found Kaya on the beach staring at the sea. 2. He stepped up beside her. She didn't look at him, but kept her eyes on the roiling waves. 3. "I have to go, Kaya. Can't live here no longer." 4. "When you're old enough, you'll understand," he said. Kaya wanted to holler out that she may be young, but she wasn't stupid. 6. She knew Pa was the reason they all left. 7. What she wondered was why no one took her with them. 8. Ka, ya be careful here. If anybody comes, don't go in the house. 9. When she still didn't speak, he said goodbye and strode across the beach to the woods. 10. Breaking her freeze, she ran to the shack. Page 14. 1. She sank onto his mattress, watching the last of that day slide down the wall. 2. All her life, the room had been warmed from baking bread, boiling butter beans, or bubbling fish stew. 3. Now, it was stale, quiet, and dark. 4. She lit a candle and poked at hot ashes in the wood stove, added kindling. 5. Getting out leftovers, she said, "I'll tump the grits in lard, warm 'em up," which she did and ate from the pot. 6. When light from the quarter moon finally touched the shack, she crawled into her porch bed. 7. At first, every few minutes, she sat up and peered through the screen. 8. For a while, she was so stiff she couldn't swallow, but on cue, the familiar songs of tree frogs and katydids filled the night. 9. More comforting than 3 blind mice with a carving knife. 10. The darkness held an odor of sweetness, the earthy breath of frogs and salamanders who'd made it through one more stinky hot day. Vocabulary and definitions. Page 21. 1. Grits, a type of food made from ground corn, often served in the southern United States. 2. Seashore, the land along the edge of the sea. 3. Specks, small spots or particles. 4. Surf, the mass or line of foam formed by waves breaking on the shore. 5. Gulls, seabirds that are commonly found near oceans or large bodies of water. 6. Screeching, making a loud, harsh, high-pitched sound. 7. Swirled, moved in a twisting or spiraling pattern. 8. Preening, of a bird cleaning and arranging its feathers with its beak. 9. Folded, bent or arranged so that one part covers another. 10. Settled, moved to a place and made it comfortable or lived in. Page 12. 1. Endured, suffered patiently, tolerated. 2. Rages, intense, often uncontrollable anger. 3. Fist slugs, punches with a closed fist. 4. Disappeared, ceased to be visible, vanished. 5. Clatter clank, a loud, continuous rattling noise. 6. Dashing, running quickly and suddenly. 7. Stirring, mixing or moving something in a circular motion. 8. Impossibly, something that seems or is impossible to happen. 9. Gravity, the force that attracts a body toward the center of the earth. 10. Lead, to be in charge or command of. Page 13. 1. Sunset, the time in the evening when the sun disappears below the horizon. 2. Roiling, moving in a turbulent, swirling manner. Understand, to perceive the intended meaning or grasp the significance. 4. Holler, to shout or yell. 5. Stupid, lacking intelligence or common sense. 6. Careful, making sure to avoid potential danger or harm. 7. Goodbye, a farewell or parting expression. 8. Striding, walking with long decisive steps. 9. Freeze, to become motionless, often due to fear or shock. 10. Shack, a small, crudely built dwelling or shelter. Page 14. 1. Mattress, a large thick pad for supporting the body in bed. 2. Stale, no longer fresh or pleasant. 3. Kindling, small sticks or twigs used for starting a fire. Tump, informal, to turn over or tip something. 5. Porch, a covered shelter projecting in front of the entrance of a building. 6. Swallow, to cause or allow something to pass down the throat. 7. Familiar, well known from long or close association. 8. Comforting, providing reassurance and relief. 9. Earthy, relating to or characteristic of the earth, simple or natural. 10. Salamanders, a group of amphibians typically characterized by a lizard-like appearance. Summary, page 21 English. On her birthday, Kaya takes a pot of grits to the seashore and calls out to the birds. As the seagulls gather around her, she feeds them the grits and watches them preen. A large gull settles near her, and Kaya quietly tells the bird that it is her birthday, highlighting her profound loneliness and connection with nature. Korean, 생일을 맞은 카야는 옥수수죽을 바닷가로 가져가 새들에게 먹이를 준다. 갈매기들이 그녀 주위로 모여들자 그녀는 옥수수죽을 던져주며 그들을 지켜본다. 큰 갈매기 하나가 그녀 곁에 자리를 잡자 키아는 조용히 새에게 오늘이 자신의 생일이라고 말한다. 이는 그녀의 깊은 외로움과 자연과의 연결을 강조한다. Kia's family begins to leave one by one after her mother departs. Her siblings endure their father's violent rages before eventually leaving as well. Kia is left alone with her brother Jody, who takes on some of the domestic responsibilities. However, Jody also leaves, and Kia is left completely isolated. 키아의 가족은 어머니가 떠난 후 하나씩 떠나기 시작한다. 그녀의 형제자매들은 아버지의 폭력적인 분노를 견디다가 결국 떠나게 된다. 키아는 형 조디와 단둘이 남게 되지만 조디도 결국 떠나고 가연전이 고립된다. English. Jody tells Kaya that he must leave because he can no longer live with their father. Kaya, though young, understands that their father's abuse is the reason for their family's disintegration. Before leaving, Jody warns Kaya to be careful and advises her on how to hide if someone comes. His departure marks another deep loss for Kaya. Korean. 조디는 키아에게 더 이상 아버지와 함께 살 수 없기 때문에 떠나야 한다고 말한다. 키아는 비록 어리지만 아버지의 학대가 가족이 흩어진 이유라는 것을 이해한다. 떠나기 전에 조디는 키아에게 조심하라고 경고하며 누군가가 오면 숨는 방법을 알려준다. 그의 떠남은 키아에게 또 하나의 깊은 상실을 의미한다. After Jody leaves, Kia is left to fend for herself in the shack. She is overwhelmed by loneliness and the realization that she must survive on her own. Kia struggles with basic tasks like cooking and caring for herself. The harsh environment and her isolation are deeply felt as she tries to maintain the shack, waiting for her mother's return, despite knowing deep down that she is truly alone. 조디가 떠난 후 키아는 오두막에서 홀로 살아남아야 한다. 그녀는 고독과 스스로 살아가야 한다는 현실에 압도당한다. 카야는 요리나 스스로를 돌보는 기본적인 일조차 어려워하며 혹독한 환경과 고립을 깊이 느끼면서도 어머니가 돌아오기를 기다리며 오두막을 유지하려 애쓴다. 비록 내면 깊숙이 자신이 완전히 혼자라는 것을 알고 있음에도 말이다.